Is it really the first day of fall if you don't wear your flannel? I think not.
Perfect.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is the first day of fall, you guys. Happy first day of fall. How excited are we? In celebration of it being the first day of fall, I did want to share with you guys all of the books that I plan to or would love to read this fall season. Are these all of the books that I want to read? Definitely not. There are a million more. 98% of these books are going to be backlist titles. I'm really trying to scour my shelves and try to read as many books that I already own without having to buy new ones. I am planning on going on a little book shopping spree once we move into the new house in November. So I definitely want to read those books. There's a bunch of new books that are coming out or that have come out this month is in September that I would love to read, but I don't have those in hand, so we're not going to talk about those. But we are going to talk about two brand new releases because I do have them, thanks to the publishers for sending these to me. But other than that, they're all going to be backlist titles. We are going to be putting these in age categories. So I have middle grade, I have YA books, and I have adult books that I want to read. Let's jump in. Obviously, we're going to start off with some middle grade books. I have a little stack here. And so the first one that I want to read, which is funny, I just saw this on Lexi's fall vlog. I just recently started watching her. I saw her on Kayla's live show last week, I think it was. I didn't know about her, and she actually was reading this book, and I was like, oh my gosh, how funny. It is The Strangers by Margaret Peterson Haddix. This just looks so interesting, and I actually just purchased this book a couple weeks ago, so it was just sitting here, and I don't know, it just looks all kinds of fall. This has to do with 3 kids, and apparently there is news that there has been an abduction of 3 other kids with their same name. Then all of a sudden their mother goes on this long, like, weird trip, and they're left alone with these puzzles and this like other world to navigate and just try to figure out what is going on. So it just sounds so cool, and this cover just screams fall to me. I know this is part of a duology, so, and I heard Lexi talk about how amazing it was, so I'm like, we are going to read it. The next one that I want to read, actually I've had for a while now. My Booksy gifted this to me a couple years ago, and it is Took by Mary Downing Han. This is a middle grade horror. I love middle grade horror. The majority of these middle grade books, or almost all of these middle grade books with the exception of this one. I don't know if this one is considered horror, The Strangers, but these are all going to be horror. I love middle grade horror so much. This, I have no idea what it's about. It says Daniel and his sister Erica didn't want to move to rural West Virginia. Rural, I can't stand saying that. Their new home is a rundown old farm surrounded by woods miles from town. The local kids treat Daniel and Erica as snobby outsiders and frighten them with the strange stories about their house and a witch called Old Auntie. And I mean,
Is there anything better than reading about witches
in the fall time? The majority of these books have witches, and not the majority of them, but a lot of these books have witches in them. So excited to read this one. I think it's time since it's been sitting here for a while. The next 4 books are all going to be middle grade horror as well, and they are my most recently acquired books. The first one is going to be Ghosts and Bones by Andrew Prentice. I mean, this cover is amazing. Ghosts and Bones just scream fall and spooky season for me. This says Oscar Grimstone has always felt like an outsider. His classmates make fun of his all black clothes and pasty skin, but now strange things have begun to happen that Oscar can't explain, and he's starting to feel cursed too. Then Oscar discovers something truly startling. Even though he is very much alive, he can turn into a ghost. I mean, yes, please. Next, we have The Little Leftover Witch by Florence Laughlin. I think this is a little bit younger than middle grade. Oh no, it is middle grade. It's ages 8 through 12, but it's such a little book. And look at this cover, how cute. When Felina, a little witch, crash lands on Halloween and breaks her broom, she finds that she can't use her small magic to enchant a new broom. or the dust mop, or even the electric vacuum cleaner. Instead, she is enchanted by Lucinda and the Dunes, who try to make her a part of the family. Will the Dunes and their black cat, Itchabody, survive until next Halloween, or will the havoc Felina creates drive them batty? I mean, how cute does that sound? And, you know, again, witches, fall. Perfect. Next we have Amelia Fang and the Barbaric Ball. I mean, this is just Halloween on a cover. Most of these just really look like Halloween books, and I guess, you know, the beginning of fall is very Halloween-y, but this looked like fall, and there's like a little pumpkin. Meet Amelia Fang, a sparkly little vampire in a dark and gloomy world. Yes. All yes to this one.
I'm not going to sit here and read all the synopsises, but you know.
Next is Jacqueline Hyde by Annabeth Bondor Stone and Connor White. This is just a middle grade Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde retelling, and I'm all about this. Even the back cover of this is just gorgeous. So really eager to read this. I think this is the one that I'm most excited for because this cover just keeps screaming out to me every time I walk by it. And then I have 4 YA books on my list. I tried to keep my middle grade and YA small because my stack of adult, it's right here. This is large. There's a lot in there. So starting off with my YA books that I want to read this fall is V.E. Schwab's The Near Witch. I think this is like the 3rd fall season that this book lands on my fall TBR, but I'm hoping that this is the year that I get this read. I do want to read this early on in October. Again, witches and fall just go great together. This was V.E. Schwab's first book, her debut novel, and it came out of print for a while, and then a few years back it came back into printing. And so I mean, I love this cover so much that I picked it up, and you know, I've never read it. So these are the truths that Lexi has heard all her life. But when an actual stranger, a boy who seems to fade like smoke, appears outside her home on the moor at night, she knows that at least one of these sayings is no longer true. The next night, the children of Near start disappearing from their beds, and the mysterious boy falls under suspicion. This sounds all kind of creepy and spooky, and I'm ready for it. Next is a book that I've been wanting to read forever. It is raved about all the time, and again, it's another book that I have owned for a really long time, and that is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I've heard that this is great for the spooky season, especially in October, so that's what I'm going to try to be doing. I think that this might have to be in November though, just because of everything that's going on in October. And to be completely honest with you, my October TBR is not included in these books, which I think is really stupid of me to do. I have a lot of Kindle Unlimited books that I want to read, especially ones that have Halloween on the title. So I'm not talking about any of these here because I don't know why not. I think it's just because these are all the books that I want to read during the fall time. It's not necessarily just Halloween books that I'm trying to read. That's why I didn't include these here, because this is just all of fall, not just particularly in October. Did that make sense? So yeah, I've heard amazing things about this. I've heard that this is like a academic, like a dark academia kind of book, if I'm not mistaken. There's like this murder and this mystery at this one school, and they're trying to figure out what happens. What's the mystery behind this murder, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. I know you guys will anyways, so I'm excited for this one. I think there's already, I think the 4th book in that series has come out, or is about to come out, or has already come out. I'm not sure. The next one is not spooky at all, but for some reason every time I look at this cover it just screams fall to me. It screams fall time. It screams just, I don't know. And that is Warrior of the Wild by Trisha Levenseller. One of my favorite books, YA books that is Beyond a Darkened Shore by Jessica Leake, and it is the same premise as well. Another one is Sky in the Deep as well. I love these kinds of warrior novels that have like Norse mythology in the background of it, or are set in Ireland or Scotland. Those are my favorite kinds of fantasy books to read. So I have high hopes for this one. I don't want to read too much of the synopsis synopsis because I want to go in blind, so please forgive me. You're gonna have to go and read the synopsis all on your own, but I'm sure you know about this book because it is a pretty popular YA novel. I haven't read anything by Trisha Levenseller before, and I own like 3 of her books, so I think it's time to read this one, and it is the perfect time right now. And then the last and final book in the YA category is Burn Our Bodies Down. Again, this is not a spooky one either. It's by Rory. I have a problem saying things that have double R's in them, like rural, Rory. So I'm sorry, but my mouth just doesn't correctly, okay? She is the author of Wilder Girls. I loved Wilder Girls so much, and the only reason why I'm putting this book in this TBR is because the cover just gives me fall vibes. This is another one I don't know a lot about, and I want to keep it like that. I just want to go into it blind, so again, you're gonna have to look this up on your own, but there's like burnt edges on the letters and stuff, and it screams fall to me. So onto my fall TBR it goes. Now let's jump into my adult stack that I want to read this fall season. This is the largest stack out of all 3 of them, but yeah, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Let's start off with a reread that needs to happen in the fall season, preferably in October, because it will not be fall unless I reread Pet Sematary. To me, nothing says fall in a book more than Pet Sematary. I've only read this novel 1 time, and so I'm really craving to reread this, especially next month in October. More towards the end of October, I want to reread this. I will possibly listen to the audiobook because, again, like I said at the beginning of this video, we are moving, so the bulk of my reading in the month of October will be done through audiobooks. And I believe that the first time that I read this, I could be completely wrong and it could have been an audiobook, but I think I physically read it. But I don't know why I think I'm 80% wrong with what I just said. I think I listened to the audiobook, but either way, it needs to be reconsumed, because if you haven't read this, you guys, and you have never read Stephen King and you want to try to start reading Stephen King, or you want to dip your toes, I think this is the perfect book to start off with, and it is the perfect season to do so. It is just fantastic. The movie is great too, and I'm hoping to watch the movie this fall season as well. I want to talk about 3 brand new releases. I know at the beginning of the video I said that I had 2, but I actually have 3. The first one that I need read this fall season, and preferably the spooky season in October, is Slew Foot by Brahm. Thank you so much to Tor Nightfire for sending this my way. They actually did send the e-arc my way, and then they sent me this finished copy, which it's incredible. I'm gonna read to you guys this because it's horror historical fiction. It's Connecticut 1666. An ancient spirit awakens in a dark wood. The wild folk call him Father, Slayer, Protector. The colonists call him Slew Foot, Demon, Devil. To Agatha, a recently widowed outcast, alone and vulnerable in her pious village, he is the only one she can turn to for help. This would be my 3rd Brahm novel, if I'm not mistaken, and he is just amazing. So I cannot wait to dive into this one. I believe this one came out last week, if I'm not mistaken, so go get your hands on it because this sounds like the perfect spooky book to read this spooky season. Next, I want to read Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. Silvia Moreno Garcia, I love her. I have read a few of her books as well. My least favorite one that I have read of her so far has been Untamed Shores, but even that one was entertaining and I liked it. It just wasn't my favorite. But this is, from what I hear my friend Tali tell me, it's a different take on vampires. And so she really liked it. She just finished reading it. This is set to come out, I believe it's September 28th, so in another week. And I'm just excited to get to it because I need a good vampire novel in my life. And then another new one that is set to come out also, I believe, September 28th. I had the paper here somewhere. Yes, this is set to release September 28th, is The Orphan Witch by Paige Crutcher. This just showed up at my door. I didn't even know about this book, but I see witch and the cover and I just think fall. So I don't know anything about this. Persephone May has been alone her entire life, abandoned as an infant and dragged through the foster care system. She wants nothing more than to belong somewhere, to someone. But unexplainable things happen when she's around. Changes in weather, inanimate objects taking flight that result her in being cast out. To cope, she never gets attached. She moves around, leaving one town for another when curiosity over her eccentric behavior inevitably draws unwanted attention. So, sounds like a very interesting little character, and I want to read her. I honestly don't even know if this is adult or if it's YA, but I'm just gonna put it here in the adult section, so looking forward to this one. Let's talk about a romance novel that I want to read. I read The Simple Wilds last year, loved it. I wanted to make it a point to read the second book quickly after that one, but I never got to it. So I want to read Wild at Heart this fall season. Number one, because the colors of the trees just look like the fall autumn season. It looks like the trees are like full force changing. I really loved the first book. This story just entails this girl, Kala, I believe her name is Kala, and she gets a call one day from her father. They have a very weird and like almost estranged relationship. He lives in Alaska. She lives wherever she lives with her mom. Her mom, she fled when Kala was a little baby, and so her relationship with her dad has been kind of like estranged. But she gets a call saying that her dad is about to die. So she goes to Alaska and she might have found love and she might have rekindled her relationship with her father.
Is it rekindled that it's not a love relationship?
English words, what do they mean? And so, yeah, she meets somebody and there might or might not be a relationship. So this is the continuation of that story. And I have been really like reading more romance than usual. I think this is under the new adult genre. I could be mistaken, but when I looked onto the Goodreads all the way at the bottom, there was somewhere in there that said new adult. So anyways, I really want to jump back into this world and I'm eager to do so this fall season. If I say this fall season one more time in this video, I mean, we get it, Marcella. This is a fall TBR. We get it. The next book that I want to read this fall season is The Complex by Brian Keene. You guys know my love for Brian Keene, so I just need to continuously keep reading him, and this is my next pick from him. This is just a book that I have been eyeing for a really long time, and my booksie actually bought it for me for my birthday, so I'm super excited to have it in my hands. So I need to read it soon. This just has to do with a complex, and I believe it's like a zombie apocalypse novel, and a few of the residents in this complex get together and they're trying to fight off these like flesh-eating monsters, I think. So yeah, this just sounds all great, and it's a short one, so I can't wait to get to it. Brian Keene, you guys, truly is an amazing author, and if you haven't read him, please do so, because to me, he's incredible. Next, this is a book that I've never been interested in it, but then I saw this cover on Book of the Month and I've heard so many great things about it. I mean, there's a movie, it's a very iconic fall spooky season kind of movie, and I'm like, you know what? I've heard so many great things that I finally need to read it. So I bought a copy, So I bought a copy a couple of months ago, and it is time to read Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. I've never read anything by this author, and I think this is where I want to start. I keep looking at the viewfinder for this one because I just want to stare at this cover. The colors are just so like, just amazing. I don't know too much about this. other than what I know about the movie. I've never watched the movie either. It's just never been an interest of mine until now. So I really want to go into this blind. So I'm sure that you guys know what this is about already. Witches and magic and potions. I'm thinking, I don't know, but I'm excited to get to it.
I'm so stupid.
Next is another one of my favorite authors, and it's been a while since I've read anything by her, and I was hoping to read this book when it came out years ago and I never got to it. It's just been sitting here, and this is the time to read The Ninth House. I'm hoping to listen to this on audiobook. It's not The Ninth House, it's Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. She is amazing. And I believe this is her first adult novel, and I think this is going to be a duology, maybe a trilogy, possibly, I'm not sure, but I love everything else that she's written. The Six of Crows, I've loved the Shadow and Bone trilogy. They're some of my favorite books, and so I think it's just time. It's a little bit of a chunker, and I love her so much in a YA world that I've been kind of hesitant to go into her adult novels, but I've heard people say that it's so great. And so again, I'm hoping to listen to the audiobook next month. This is one of the books that I have set for next month, and I can't wait. I'm really excited, and this cover is just so amazing. Next, I want to read Agatha Christie's The Last Seance, Tales of the Supernatural. It's featuring a story never before published in the United States. This was, I think, a reprint, if I'm not mistaken. You guys know I'm not a huge fan, but I do make exceptions. And Agatha Christie, of course, has to be an exception for short stories because she is Agatha Christie, so how can you not? And I mean, the cover to this just screams fall. I finally want to read Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. I've heard that this is a very dense one. My friend Tali says that it's a very dense book, but I love dense fantasy novels. I don't know, but this cover, this is one that I don't know a lot about either, and it was a complete cover buy for me, or a complete cover want to read for me. When it first came out, I remember looking at this cover and thinking, wow, I need this so hard. But again, years went by and I never ever read it. This says, brought up by unfriendly, ossifying nuns, ancient retainers, and countless skeletons, Gideon is ready to abandon a life of servitude and an afterlife as a reanimated corpse. She packs up her sword, her shoes, and her dirty magazines and prepares to launch her daring escape. But her childhood nemesis won't set her free without a service. So I need to read it. I need to read it. We're down to the last two books. I have also The Year of the Witching. I tried to read this last year, but I didn't get around to it, so I'm moving it on to this year. This is by Alexis Henderson. I don't know much about this, and I want to go into it blind. So again, you're gonna have to look for the synopsis yourself, but I'm sure you have heard about this. This was a very popular book last year when it came out. I haven't heard a lot about it this year, or anybody else like talking about it as a backlist title. But, you know, I mean, witching, again, fall, witches, perfect. And this cover is just so spooky and ominous, so. And then the last and final book is not horror. It's not, I don't know what this book is, but I've heard that it is going to rip out my soul and I am going to cry. And I think that's why I have been avoiding it, because although I love a book that makes me cry, I mean, it's one of my favorites. If a book makes me cry, it automatically becomes a 5-star book for me. With that being said, I also, if I know it's going to hurt me a little too much, I'm hesitant. Also, I see a dog on the cover of this particular reprinted copy. This book was reprinted by SST Publications just recently within the past year, and I had it pre-ordered because you could not find a regular copy of this, and it just so happened that after I pre-ordered the new reprint of it, I found a copy on Thrift Books, so I ended up buying both. But anyways, the book in mention is Westlake Soul by Real Yours, or Yowers. I think it's Ewers. The other copy, I looked for it on my shelf so I can show you so you can see what I mean. This is the original print of it. It's just a face with, like, I don't know, it looks like a solar system or like whatever, right? This reprint has a dog on the cover, and I think that's what has me hesitant to read it, because people are saying that it's going to rip my soul, and if it has anything to do with the death of this dog or the separation of this dog from its own, look, I am already my eyes are already getting teary-eyed, and I don't even know what this book is about. But just thinking about that, if that's what this book is about, then I really don't want to read it. But I really do want to read it, so I really want to try my hardest. This also has a lot of leaves here, and then on the side and in the back it also has leaves, so I'm thinking it's perfect for the fall season. Because of these leaves and the colors on the cover, I chose to put it on my fall TBR. But again, I'm going to do some research, because if it does have to do with something, I mean, you guys saw, if you guys have not seen my very emotional vlog on how much I cry with a dog scene in one of the books that I read, go watch it. I can't even talk about it, so I don't know. This is like a tentative fall book. I'll keep you updated on Westlake Soul. He actually just recently came out. I don't know if it was at the beginning of this year or the ending of last year. Let me grab it. He also came out with Lola on Fire. This is his most recent book. So if I don't get to read Westlake Soul, depending on its contents, then I might switch it over for Lola on Fire, because it still has very fall colors on it. And I don't know if that's the best way to determine whether to read a book in fall or not, but there's fire, it's orange and yellow, and so this might make it onto my fall TBR. So that's it, you guys. Those are all the books that I'm looking forward to this fall season. Let me know in the comment section down below what you are looking forward to this fall season. If any of these caught your attention, if any of these are on your fall TBR, let's chat books down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.
Perfect.